Well, good afternoon. Welcome to my studio here in fabulous Las Vegas. This is Dean Tenney, and I'm coming to you with a shorter lecture. We've been doing, 15 minutes instead of the hour narrative lecture you can find on the channel on options. This content is testable on the SIE, the Series 7, and the Series 65, so I will be dropping it into all those playlists. If you are a 7 and encountering it in your playlist and you have somebody behind you in their testing journey, the SIE, please refer them to it or share it with them. And same as 65. You know any other test candidates coming up behind you? Let them know. Like, share, and subscribe, and let's get busy. Now, there are two types of contracts: call contracts and put contracts, and you can either buy them or sell them. And so that means we have four basic option positions. Now, if you go to our narrative lecture on basic options, I spend a lot of time developing what we call the options matrix. What I decided to call this call up, this 15-minute version, let me set my egg timer because that's my goal, is call up because it's just such a great memory aid device. It's great for intrinsic value, call up when the market price of the stock is above the strike price of the option. The contract is in the money, has intrinsic value. It's also a great mnemonic for break even, call up, strike price plus premium. So that's why the title of this 15-minute lecture is call up. Now, again, we're going to be focusing here. Let me get my highlighter on call contracts, and the relationship of the market price to the stock to the strike price of the option isn't dependent on whether you're long or short. We're simply asking, what is the relationship of the market price? What is the relationship of the market price to the strike price? Let me get out my annotation tool here. So let's just assume that we're looking at an Apple call here. And if we're looking at an Apple 185 call, and Apple, for example, is 191, the market price is up from the strike price. The way we say that is the 185 call contract has 6 points of intrinsic value. Now, remember, that has nothing to do with your long or short. That has nothing to do with break even. We're just asking what that relationship. That would be different if I ask you, what is the time value? What's the break even? Then I have to give you a lot of other stuff, whether you're long or you're short. We're simply asking about the relationship of the market price to the strike price. Now, we're going to be spending today on this part of what we call the options matrix. In a previous lecture, we worked on the bottom part of the matrix. It's not a box with four squares. It's a matrix. Every quadrant has a relationship. SIE, I think it's sufficient perhaps just to memorize the matrix. I mean, the most important answer set is going to be A, long a call, B, short a call, C, long a put, D, short a put, and depending on the question will depend on your appropriate response. But if you have memorized the matrix and I say, what can you tell me about a long call? And you say, Dean, when you're long a call or buy a call, you paid a premium. You have a choice to buy the stock at the strike price, XP means strike price. You're bullish. Your max gain is unlimited. Your max loss is the premium. You may not have any clue what you just said, but it's technically correct. So I highly recommend maybe choosing to make a matrix a part of your intellectual inventory as a test taker as it relates to this. So here's our first one. And what we're going to do, what I suggest, again, it's a buffet, take what you like, leave what you don't. But what I highly recommend you do when you get an option contract is underneath the leg, right? What are you looking at? What you're looking at here is a choice. Some people use right, R-I-G-H-T, choice. I think choice is a better word because that's what an option is, a choice. And this is a choice to buy or call away the stock at the strike price. And so here, if I pay 9 points for this thing, I have a choice to buy or call away Apple at 185. Now, there's a lot of ways to do this. Some people like to use pluses. Some people like to use minuses. Some people like to use debit or credit, dollars out, dollars in. But the most important thing, if you're going to understand options, is to know the contract specifications, that you know that when you're long a call, you got a choice to buy the stock and be able to, in somehow, some way, track the money in and out of the account. So I'm going to put here 9 points. I'm not going to put 900. I suggest you do things on a per share basis. And then when you're all done, just remember that's 9 times 1 times 100. If you don't take my advice, then you're going to continually have to add zeros, and very easy to kind of make arithmetic mistakes. You got all those zeros floating around. So I'm going to put 9 points there. And remember, for that 9 points, I've established the choice to buy the Apple at 185. And so if I do that, I'm out 9 points for the option. I'm out 185 for the Apple. And so my break even is going to be 194. Ultimately, break even is the number that makes these columns balance. And so if you get good at T, you can simply shop the answer set and say, okay, what is that? Now, if you want to memorize break even, that's not a bad way to go, particularly on the SIE. It's the strike price plus the premium, hence call up. That equals the break even. So in this example, our break even, pretty important, by the way, break evens are pretty important. The break even in this example is going to be 185. Well, we have a choice to buy the stock at, plus 9. That's going to give us our break even of 194. And, when I do the break even, the other thing you want to be able to do is kind of determine whether you want Apple to go up or go down. And here, having a choice to buy the stock is ultimately bullish. So you might want to consider, once you have that break even, you can memorize break evens, putting an arrow to remind yourself whether you are bullish or bearish. And here you are bullish on Apple. So again, you can either do the T, track the money in and out, say, okay, I'm out 9 points for the option. I'm out 185 for the stock. So ultimately, if I exercise, I'm going to be out 194 for the Apple. Or you can simply just memorize, call up, strike price plus premium, and you're bullish. Or you can use the matrix for that as well. Break-even is always expressed on a per share basis, so that's one you don't have to worry about zeros. Call contracts sound pretty decent. I say, how with limited risk would you like unlimited reward? How for as little as several $100s would you like to control thousands of dollars worth of stock? Last time I checked, Apple was 185, briefly just 185. And if you wanted to buy 100 shares of Apple, that would cost you $18,500. And maybe you don't have $18,500, but maybe you have $900. So for 9 points or $900, you can control $18,000 plus of Apple stock. Please note, I didn't say you own the stock. I said you're in control of the stock. So if we actually buy this at 185 and we paid 9 points to do so, we're out 204. And what might Apple actually be trading at? To infinity and beyond. So this sounds pretty cool. The maximum gain in a long call is unlimited. And again, you can either intellectually own that, or you can just memorize your matrix, however you want to proceed. Now, this sounds like a bad thing, but this is a good thing. One reason people buy options is because if you're wrong, you're just going to lose your premium. So the worst case here is, I buy an Apple 185, call it 9, and at expiration, Apple is 185 or lower. And the worst case is my option expires worthless. That is the worst case scenario when you buy an option. So my max loss, let's put that in here, is the premium. Now, again, we have one contract here. So each of these contracts governs 100 shares. So just remember that we're talking about 9 points on one contract governing 100 shares. And so that is $900. So in SIE, it's that much pretty simple. 7's a little more complex. 65 is more aim and shoot, point and click. So basically on the SIE, can you tell me that this is a long call buy, long owner holder, me the same thing? Can you tell me the break even is 194, strike price plus premium? Can you tell me the customer is bullish on the underlying stock? The underlying interest is what we call that. Can you tell me the max gain is unlimited? And can you tell me that the max loss is the premium? Now, every option contract has two parties with opposite expectations. And so we're going to have somebody who's long a call or has bought a call. We're going to have somebody else who has actually sold the call, gone short the call. And this is not going to be a very smart idea. Whoop. This is not a smart idea. Again, my recommendation, you don't have to follow my recommendation, but my recommendation is that below the contract, you put, what are you looking at? You are looking at an obligation to sell the stock at the strike price. And this is very foolish. You know, I think of options as being about floors and ceilings, and there is no ceiling here. So we have two versions of a call. And you know what you want to be able to do on all the exams is distinguish this, is what we're looking at here, is a naked or uncovered call. What we mean by that is we're agreeing to sell the Apple stock and we don't actually own it. And that's definitely testable to know that when you do that, I'll show it to you here just a little bit, you're going to be exposed to unlimited risk. So this is not going to be very smart. You know, I kind of just said earlier, long calls sound pretty good. The long call was how was with limited risk would you like unlimited reward, right? This one's going to be not so smart. All right, so we've got that down there. It's the same break even for both parties. What we mean by that is call up. Again, the lecture is called call up because that's such a great memory aid. Call up. If the market price is up from the strike price, the contract has intrinsic value. It's in the money. Call up. The strike price plus the premium is the break even in calls. Let's get a smaller font here. And so here again, our break even is 185. That's how far it can move against me before I got a problem. Plus 9. My break even is 194. Now, again, I recommend that when you get the break even, you put an arrow to remind yourself where you want it to be in relationship to that. So here I'm establishing, let me go back here. I'm establishing an obligation to sell the stock, and selling stock is ultimately bearish. And so that's what I'm establishing here. And as I mentioned, break even is really important. And what you want to be able to do is say, okay, I recognize this as a bearish strategy. That's how bears attack, pause down. Now, what I'm going to do next again is track the money or memorize the break even, right? So here I could say, okay, well, I brought in 9 points. And I've agreed that for that 9 points, I will sell the stock at 185. And so again, the most I'm bringing into my account is 194. That's what I've agreed to do. So again, the break even is the number that if you plug it in would make it balance. So you could just shop your answer set offered to you on the exam and say, well, it's got to be a number that if I plug it in there. So even if I'm wrong and Apple goes up and I have to buy it at 194 and deliver it at 185, which I'm obliged to do, I lose 9 points. I got paid 9 points, hence I break even. I've got the same dollars out as dollars in. Nobody does things to break even, but I'm just illustrating that indeed that is the break even. The maximum gain. Anytime you sell an option contract, the best possible situation is you agree to be a potential victim and nobody victimizes you. So here I've agreed that I'll deliver the Apple at 185. And if the Apple is 185 or lower, nobody's going to call it away from me. And I'm just going to keep the money and go neener, neener, neener. So the best case is that the contract expires worthless. That would be my best case scenario, and I keep the 9 points. So maximum gain, let's just put that here, is the premium. And as we said, the very foolish part of this is that I have a obligation here to deliver the Apple at 185. And if I'm wrong, the Apple might be what price? Who knows, right? I showed you that if I buy it at 194 and deliver at 185, I lose 9, got 9, I break even. But past 194, I start to hemorrhage money. And so what do we have to be able to do on the SIE, the Series 7, the 65? We have to be able to tell the break even, call up, strike price plus premium, 185 plus 9, 194. We have to be able to determine bullish or bearish. This is bearish. We have to be able to determine max gain, the premium. And then, boy, guaranteed test question. You definitely need to know that if you agree to sell stock you do not own, you're exposed to unlimited risk. Now, you know, in other parts of the lecture, I show you a covered call. And that's one of the big things you got to be able to do on the test is distinguish. Are you looking at a covered call where you actually own the stock? Or are you looking at a naked uncovered call? Very testable. Just the recognition of that is testable because, you know, you want to make sure you don't accidentally expose somebody to unlimited risk, right? All right, so here was what we've been looking at in this little lecture here. And let's just put in our bar here. There's our market price of Apple. There's our market price. And we said the break even for both parties is going to be strike price plus premium. And so both these parties, we said the break even is 194. So whether you're long or whether you're short, the break even is 194. And we said, oh, there's my 15 minutes. It looks like I'm going to be a little over. Oh, well. Oh, well. Anyways, there's our break. You can say break even for both parties, call up. That's why this is call up, you know, strike price plus premium. And then where do you want it in relationship to that? Well, that depends on whether you're long or short the contract, right? So if you are, let me get out my annotation tool here. If you are long this call, you want it to be above that. Let me see. I don't think I can change the color. Let me go back. I want to make sure I put that on the color of making money. There we go. And if you're short, you want it below that. So that depends on whether you're long or short. So here, let me just clean that up. Let me start here. I want it to be above 194. And if I'm short, let me clean this up. I want it to be below. I'm either bullish or I'm bearish. And again, here, if I, ooh, we don't want it in that color. We want it in green, the color of making money. There we go. And then if I'm going to be a loser on the long call, you know, way north of this little 15-minute lecture, but, you know, when I am long an option contract, I have to be right about three things. I have to be right about direction. I'm choosing up here, how far, and timing. By the way, that's much different than, you know, when I'm buying the stock. When I buy the stock, I only have to be right about one thing. So I'm saying Apple's going up. I'm saying it's going up at least 9 points, and I got to be right about whatever the timing is in terms of that that contract. Let me get out my different highlighter here. And let me go back to this. And so, whoa, that's not what we want. We want to have the right appropriate colors. And remember that short call is unlimited loss potential. And then we said the options are about floors and ceilings. You can see here from the arrow, there is no ceiling on how far Apple could go up. I mean, there's a finite supply of Apple, potential infinite demand here. Briefly, it hit $3 trillion in market cap. That's just simply the number of shares outstanding times the current market price. So, you know, there's no upside ceiling here, right? All right, let's clean that up. And I said what we've been working on here is the matrix. So, you know, again, if you want to use the matrix, I highly recommend the use of the matrix. And we've looked at the two types. There's two types of contracts, calls and puts. Today, we've looked at long a call and short a call. And we said long calls, you paid the premium. You have a choice to buy the stock at the strike price. You're bullish. Your maximum gains unlimited. Max loss is premium. Call up. We said the break even is strike price plus premium. We said short call, you've received the premium, you are obligated to sell the strike price, you're bearish. Best case is you agree to be a potential victim. Nobody victimizes you, keep the money. And we said guaranteed test question. Let me get my annotation tool out. Make sure test takers, You're able on all the exams, SIE, on Series 7, that you know that if you agree to sell stock you don't own, you have unlimited loss potential. Unlimited loss potential. Okay, so that concludes Call Up. Like, share, subscribe. Every Tuesday, 3 p.m., we upload new content. Sometimes that includes a live Q&A that I participate in as the lecture is running. That Tuesday, 3 p.m., if you're a subscriber, tell other people. If you're not a subscriber, please hit the subscribe button so you don't miss it. And like I said, you can bring any question you have for any NASA FINRA exam to those live Q&As as those lectures premiere. Thank you, and I'll see you for the next one.